Thanks, Isaac. Right, who built a snowman this week or last week? Hands up. Okay. Oh, come on. Who built a snowman? You miserable people. Who went sledging? Yeah. Hands? Woo! Actual show of hands. Steve, did you go sledging? Yeah. Did anybody not go sledging? Oh. Megan and... Oh, I don't feel so bad. Guess why I didn't go sledging? Yeah, I got a bad ankle. I just didn't fancy it. Well, we went to Canada for Christmas. Now that was really cold. That was actual cold. That was minus 15 in a daylight, sunshine, middle of the day. Freezing. Walk out the door and you go... And the kids were like... When they stepped out the airport, they just couldn't believe it. Never been so cold. That was real snow. Now, to me, I have to say, winter really sucks. I actually do not like snow. Am I alone? Anybody else really not like snow? Megan! All right. We are friends today. I like it. See, for a massive, fat, pregnant person, it's really not very much fun. You can't do anything. You can't go sledging. If I try and build a snowman, I have to go all the way to the ground. And do you know how hard it is to get all the way to the ground? This thing's going to get bigger, by the way. It's going to become even more impossible to do anything useful. For me, winter is this dark, long, dreary, horrible season. I hate it. I do, I enjoy it. And I married a Canadian who loves the winter, who went on his bike. He went on his bike every day to work in the snow, thought it was the best thing ever. He was about the only one who made it into the office on that first snowy day on his bicycle. That's why we named our third kid Summer, because I just love the summer. She was born on the last day of summer. Summertime to me is like, oh, I feel like everything's okay when the sun is out. I just live for summertime. Barbecues, put my nice summery pictures up there. Barbecues, surfing, the smell of board wax, surfboard wax is just like heaven to me. Sand, there's Summer, there she is. Chips on the beach, is there anything better than chips? This is a real British beach because there's a cigarette butt just above, if you can see. To me, summer is just the best time ever. Everything just feels right. It's like, even when it rains, you can run around in your shorts and t-shirt and it feels good, it's fun. The sun on your face is a pretty amazing thing, isn't it? Now there are these birds, this is where I get a bit of an old person, there are these birds that I really like, actually Andy likes birds too, I'm not alone, called house martins. And these house martins, they actually nest in a chapel roof here, in the roof above you, in the summertime. And on a warm summer night, you can actually watch them just swoop around all evening. And Brad and I are so very old that we quite like to sit on the bench outside our house on a long summer's night and sit with a cider in one hand, watching the birds and talking about the day. And we can sit on that bench and talk till it gets dark and we see the last house martin roost up in the loft up there. I love it. And whenever I see the first house martin, oh, that's my favourite beach. Keep going. That's summertime. There's a house martin. Whenever I see one, they swoop and dive like amazing little things. They're like tiny planes. I don't know. I'd love to be one. If I had to pick an animal, it would be one of those. Love them. And it's really sad. When I see the first one, I go, Brad, the house martin is back. And he says, okay. Now, how many of you went to Soul Survivor last year? Is that the next picture? Put it up. Oh, look. How many of you went to Soul Survivor? Actual hands up. Come on.
There's a picture, so there's evidence.
Not all of you. And how many of you went to some other kind of summer event? Yes? Great. They were good times, weren't they? Can you remember the mud? We went to New Wine the week before and it was gloriously sunny and you got all the rain and the mud. So there you are in your wellies. I don't know how you feel when you look at these pictures. Keep going, Brad. Keep going. Oh, go back. Okay. Must have lost a few pictures. I had a big top. There was a Soul Survivor. There was one of Big Fat Mike Privacci. Okay, go back to the tent. There's a tent. Okay. I don't know how you feel when you look at pictures of Soul Survivor. Do they ever just flash up on your screen? Or you look at pictures of the summertime. That's our tent at New Wine. It's massive and it fits us all, just about. But when I look at that picture, I feel a little bit sad because not only do I miss the grass and the sunshine, I actually missed that I was in a really good place there when I was at New Wine. See, I was in a really good place with God. I sat outside my tent and wrote in my little journal like girls do, and boys, how much I want to make it this year with God. I want to do good things for God this year. And I wrote that in my journal, hoping that I would keep going all year. Oh, look, there he is. Go back to inside the big top. You see that and you imagine yourself at the back there. Usually we're at the back, aren't we, guys? Let's face it. I don't know how you felt about God when you were standing in that tent and how you feel now. Is it a bit different? But when I look at that, I was in such a good place with God. This year, I could not fail. I was going to do so many things. It's going to go so well. Everything's going to go to plan. God and I, we're going to stick so close. It's all going to be fine. How could I possibly fail? The truth is, I've absolutely failed. So many times. Since now and then. Does anyone know how many days since Soul Survivor? Anyone see a number flash up there, remember? Just now? 181. It's 181 days since Soul Survivor. How many days, mathematicians, till Soul Survivor? 184. Go to my one with the big X in the middle. We're right there in the middle. Today, on the 27th of January, if you stand on your tiptoes and look, you can just about see the summer now. We're just on the top of the hill, looking over. It's not far away. Well, it is actually, when we face it. It's a really long way away, isn't it? We're about as far away from the summertime as it gets. We are in the depths here. January. It's horrible. See, the truth is, we all have seasons in life. We all have summers where we feel really good with God, everything's going great. And that might be in the actual summertime, when we're at Soul Survivor or wherever, when we're going good with God. And we all have winters as well, where we feel completely lost and miles away from God. And I wonder where you are right now. What season are you in? How is your relationship with God? Tough question. Don't you hate when somebody asks you that? Has anyone ever asked you that? How is your relationship with God? I'm not talking about general life. Who's got a new boyfriend, girlfriend? Life's going really good. I've got a great job. Or I hate my job. Or all of that stuff that contributes to how we feel. But actually, I'm talking about your relationship with God. How is your relationship with God right now? So you can have the greatest boyfriend in the world and be miles away from God. You can have the worst job ever and everything can be going wrong and you can still be close to God. So actually all of our life stuff is not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about how are you and God, heart to heart, face to face, how's it going? You might be in the summer right now. You might be really close to God. Things might be really good for you. You're growing with Him and you're excited and everything's good. And you know that God's going to do big things in your life and you're right there with Him. That's brilliant. You might be in the autumn. You might be feeling, I see I've even drawn another sun, summer, autumn, leaves falling. You might feel like everything's falling actually. I'm getting further and further away from Him. I'm not sure how to get back to summer. I'm pretty sure winter's coming. You might feel like I'm just slipping away, further and further away from God. You might be in the depths of winter. You might be completely dark, lost. You don't feel in any way close to God at all. You might feel like this is all such a waste of time and only came for the sweets. You might feel completely nowhere with God. You and God don't speak at the moment. You don't say I have anything to say to Him. And you'd rather be anywhere but with Him. That might be you. Or you might be in spring. You might feel like you've been lost, you've been through the winter, actually you're starting to come out of it. You're starting to think, I need to get right with God, I need to sort things out with Him. And I'm going to look forward to summertime. Have a quick think right now. Where are you? What season are you in? Summer, all's good. Autumn, kind of drifting away. Winter, completely lost. Spring, on the way back. Have a think. But you might have no idea because you've never really thought about God at all. You don't have to tell anyone, so you can be really honest with yourself. Be brutal. Everyone got their season? Okay, so that's how you feel about God. How does God feel about you? Now the Bible says, and we sing it all the time, that He never changes. We sing this song, well you might not anymore, it's quite old now. Yesterday, today and forever, you are the same and you never change. Anyone know that song? I remember singing that song for the very first time at Soul Survivor, age 17 in the late 90s. And they put it on and I was like, yesterday, today and forever, you never change. Oh. Well, that's actually a bit disappointing. He never changes, wow. I used to look at this and think, well, God knows nothing about me then. And He knows nothing about our culture today. If He never changes, He's just this old stone that's just always there. He must be really out of date. He must be completely irrelevant to me. Because I change all the time. And I've changed. I have changed. And actually, I was looking at it completely the wrong way around. See, I change on an hourly basis, on a minutely basis. My mood and my feelings right now. She made a graph of my feelings, Brad. How would they look right now? Would they be nice? nice and steady?
If it was a roller coaster, I wouldn't pay to go on it.
It's like this. It's just, I'm all over the place, all the time. And we all are, actually. Even if you think you're a really steady character and you're always just solid and constant, then actually that's just not true. Because our feelings change all the time. I change my mind, I change how I feel about you, all of you. I change how I feel about life, my choices. We all do, see? But he never changes. And what that means is I'm 100% unreliable, 100%. And he is 110% unconditionally always reliable. So the fact that he never changes is actually, thank goodness, he never changes, because I really do. And we sing, his love never fails, never gives up, never runs out on me, don't we? That one. And it's true. He unconditionally, totally, completely loves us, and he never stops reaching out to us. Ever. So he died for each of us, didn't he? Knowing full well that while his love never gives up, ours does all the time. So he doesn't go through seasons like we do. He doesn't give up like we do. He's the same yesterday, today, and forever. And thank goodness for that. Because he knows that we're not. And he knows what season we're in right now. If you think it's a great surprise to him, not at all. Not even slightly. And what's amazing is, regardless of what season we're in, he loves us the same. He loves us the same as when we're in summer, if we're in the depths of winter. He loves us the same because he never changes. Are we getting it? He's constant. We're inconsistent. We fail over and over again. And yet he loves us the same. And he still reaches for us in the same way. I love the character of David in the Bible, because David, one minute is the best top guy in the world, and the next minute he's such a loser. So he's a classic seasons man. He goes through seasons like you wouldn't believe. He wrote the Psalms. If you read through the Psalms, you see one day he's like, oh, I love you so much, God. Everything's so great. We're just such good friends, you know. Without you, oh you. And then the next minute he's like, tell myself, I hate you. Where are you? I'm lost, and everything's horrible. I'm in winter, and in winter. And one minute it's all good, and the next minute it's terrible. He had amazing victories, didn't he? He fought Goliath. How great is that? That was pretty impressive. And he overcomes all this stuff with Saul, and he becomes the king of Israel, which is massive. And the next minute, he sleeps with somebody else's wife and kills her husband. What a loser! Winter. He has amazing victories, summer. And he's the only character to be described in the Bible as a man after God's own heart. Summer, way up there. Then the next minute, his kid's trying to overthrow him, and he has to kind of chase them and kill them. So it's a horrible story. Winter. They die in horrible ways. He doesn't do it, but they do. He's victorious one minute, and he's tragically lost the next, just like us. Maybe your life isn't as dramatic as that. I hope your life isn't as dramatic as that. But how did God treat David through all of that? David's like, up, down, up, down, up, down. I love you, where are you? I love you, where are you? It's all good, I'm screwing up, I'm messing up, I'm terrible. I killed someone. I love you. Up and down, all the way. How does God feel about him through all that time? Your love never fails, never gives up, never runs out on me. God never left him, always with him, all the time. And he's the same with us, he's the same with you. Now church is a separate issue from our seasons. I just want to sidetrack slightly. See, sometimes we get tangled up in this lie that our relationship with God is entirely dependent on how our church is going. How's church? Terrible. Therefore, I'm in the winter. It's rubbish. They don't deserve me at all. It's a lie that our relationship with God is entirely reflecting of how our church is going. You can be going to the greatest church in the world. I've been to it. I haven't. And you can still be miles from God. You can be so far away. You can still stand at the back and not join in. You can still be completely disengaged with God. You could be at Soul Survivor every day. You'd have no clothes left very soon. But you could still be completely lost. I went to Soul Survivor for a couple of weeks once on this conference and had to be part of their church for a while. It was really great. I loved it. I was amazed at how many people were just like me. Actually, being at Soul Survivor Church every week didn't make them complete Christian superheroes. I was a bit disappointed, if I'm honest. But in the same way, you can go to the most miserable church in the world, and you can still get close to God if that's what you choose. If you rely on church to be the only thing that feeds you, then you're going to fall away. It's not enough. See, church is part of our relationship with God, but it's not the reason for it. If you're really frustrated with church at the moment, and you think your church is the reason that you're miles away from God, then you're a little bit deluded. I like that word. It's an old saying. It's very old. That sitting in McDonald's doesn't make you a hamburger. Does that make sense? It doesn't. Sitting in church doesn't make you a Christian either. You can only make it, if you can only make it with God at big events, if you can only make it at Soul Survivor, if you're waiting for some massive event to fix your relationship with God, then you're ignoring a much bigger issue going on. See, church is an extension of our relationship with God. It's not the reason for it. Now, it's true. Church can be really encouraging. It can be really discouraging. It's true, and it's important to find a church where you feel that you're growing and learning, but it's not the reason that you're in winter or autumn. It's completely actually up to you whether you stay there, whether you stay in that season or not. See, if God is always loving, always reaching for you, always trying to get close to you, actually, whether he makes it or not, to us, is up to you. It's actually up to you. Having Christian parents or being part of a youth group or going to church doesn't define your relationship with God. It doesn't. Your parents being Christians doesn't make you a Christian. For some of you, it's time to take responsibility for your own walk with God. For some of you, it's time to step up now. See, lots of you are in full-time work. Lots of you are out of the stage where your parents decide anything for you, actually, anything at all. They might nag you about it, but they don't decide. It's up to you. They might make judgments about you, but you're old enough to decide so many things now. In work, boyfriends, girlfriends, money. In every way, you're getting more and more independent in your lives and in your choices. But this choice is actually bigger than all of that. Whether or not you find God for yourself is actually bigger than all of that. If you're waiting for God to hit you by lightning, suddenly be sorted with him, it's not going to happen. It's actually down to you. Sometimes we want to stay in winter. Sometimes we're quite happy in winter because we're afraid of what's going to happen if we reach out and reach back to him. I wonder if there's something in your life that you know, if you decide to try and pull yourself out of the dark and connect with God, you're going to have to change something. You don't really want to do that. Maybe there's a relationship, maybe there's a habit, an addiction that you really quite like. Whatever it is, a friendship that is really destructive, something in the past that you bury, something you just don't want to deal with. Maybe that's the reason you're staying in winter. Maybe you're just a little bit afraid to be confronted with that. In the last book of the Bible, anyone know what the last book is called? Revelation. Revelation. God writes a letter to the church. A prophet hears from God, and the letter from the church is a bit like this. The first part of the letter is all the things that the church is doing really, really well. And he lists all these things and we say, well done. And then rather uncomfortably at the end, he lists something that they need to sort out. If God's going to write you a letter like that, what will be in the first bit? Well done, guys. It's this that you're doing really well. That's great. Good for you. What will be in that first bit? You're doing great at that, whatever it is. But in order to move on with me, with God, not God, I'm writing a letter. In order for us to move on and sort yourself out, you need to sort out something. What would be your something? Maybe you're avoiding God because you think he has something to say that you're not going to like. But why does God do that? Why does he correct us like that? If he loves us so much. Because what is love? Love is not really about accepting that everything we do is great. Love is about wanting to be right with somebody, to be healed and to be whole, and to be walking in light and not dark. See, if one of my kids does something really, really bad, and in doing that, they're hurting themselves, or they're hurting somebody else, and hurting people around them, if I'm a loving parent, should I just say, well, I love him, so I'm not going to say anything? No, I'll just leave them to it. My youngest one is 2, and she loves matches. She sees me light the fire all the time, and she's obsessed. She thinks they're the best thing ever, like magic sticks that just, it's just so cool. She wants them all the time, and I try and hide them, and sometimes I forget. Somebody forgets to put them away. The other day, I came downstairs to find her, match in hand, box in hand. She's quite clever with her fingers, she's quite dexterous. And she's about to light a match, and it starts to spark. And I'm like, no! Can't run very fast, fat pregnant woman. No! And I go towards her, and I grab the box from her hand, and I pull it away. And what does she do? Does she go, oh, you were right. Thanks, I really shouldn't be doing that. No, she went mental. She had an absolute fit. She's screaming, no, matcha! Like an evil child. Proper tantrum. Now I know, because I'm 32, that lighting a match when you're a 2-year-old is really dangerous. I've learned that in my few years of wisdom. I'm slightly wiser than she is. Not a lot all the time. But she was really cross. But she would have burned herself. She probably would have set the house on fire, burned us all. Actually, our house is primarily wood in the ceiling. Steve's seen it. He built it. When she was screaming and fighting to get the match back, what do you think she's trying to say to me? She's having a massive tantrum saying, I want the match! What's she trying to say to me? I hate you. I know better than you. I may be 2, but I know better than you. Mummy, you are wiser than me, sure, but in this one area you are so wrong. This is what she wants to say, if she only had the words. I know what I'm doing, and I love the matches. This is what she's trying to say, and I want to try them, and if I burn the house down, it's up to me. It's my choice. We're like that with God so often. When we ignore his advice and his correction, we're literally playing with fire. And we're saying, you might be the creator of the whole universe, and you might have made me and everything around me, but I really like what I'm doing, and it's fine. And I'm not going to hurt me, and I'm not going to hurt anyone else, it's all good. So just go away. I'm not ready to stop yet. It's actually sometimes so much easier to avoid them than to hear that what we're doing might be hurting us or somebody else. I want to play with the matches. Fine. Sometimes we know, even if I just look at him, even if I sing one word and mean it, he's going to highlight something I don't want to change. So I better keep my mouth shut, stand very still, stare at the floor. What is it that you're afraid he might say? Well, whatever it is, he loves you as if you were not doing that thing. See, he loves you the same because he's constant, yesterday, today, forever. He loves us the same. And he wants to sort it with us, wants to get it right with us. What if we say no? What if we say, actually, I'm really happy here in the winter. God, you might be reaching towards me, but I don't really want to reach to you. You can actually just stop bothering me now and go away. Because I can walk this life without you. It's all good. I like doing what I'm doing. I don't want you. What if we say that to him? What does he say? He says, okay. He says it's 100% your choice. He's not going to stop you. He's not going to stand in your way. It's actually completely up to you how you respond to that. He says, okay. But he does say, I will never stop reaching out to you. And I will never stop jumping in your way and saying, come back. I'm not going to physically stop you, but I will always put myself in front of you one way or another. And I will never give up, and I will never let go. And I will not stop until the day you die. And die, you will. And then, I'll stop. And the choices that we made matter more than ever at that point. That's just to be real with you. I'm not trying to scare you. It's just the truth. It's what I believe to be true. That the choices we make now echo forever. It's the only choice that matters forever. It's a big thing to think about, isn't it? In Romans it says this, I'm convinced that neither death nor life, nor angels nor demons, neither the present nor the future, powers, nor height nor depth, nor anything else in all creation, so anything, nothing, will be able to separate us from the love of God that is in Christ Jesus our Lord. Nothing we do can cut us off from him forever. But it's up to us what we do with that love. Even if we mess up, if we remain in him, and we come back to him every time, nothing can separate us from him. But it's up to us. You're all faced with massive choices now. Jobs, partners, houses. It's all big things coming up for you. Actually, that doesn't really stop a knife. It just keeps going. There's only one choice you make that actually matters beyond this one, beyond this life. There's only one choice you make that echoes forever. And it's mind-blowing that we have to make it, isn't it? That it's up to us. Sometimes we just think, well, it's all up to him. It's actually up to us what we do with it, because we're not robots. Because he made us to be free, to choose. So where are you right now? Maybe you've never made that choice before. You've never actually decided one way or another what you want to do with eternity. Or maybe you've been dragged to church your whole life, and you've kind of gone through the motions and done the actions, and it's all fine, but you're never really sure it's for you. You've never actually made a commitment to Jesus in any way. You've never actually said to him, I really do want you in my life. You can be in it. Maybe you said this a long time ago, but it feels pointless now. Maybe you're miles away. If you're in the summer right now, and all is well with you and God, that's really great. Keep going. But know that there's hard stuff that will come. Autumn will come. And how do you pull yourself back to summer? When the weather turns and you feel miles away. If you're in the autumn and you're drifting, or you're in the winter and you're miles away, it's actually up to you what you do with that. But know that he's reaching out to you, even if you don't feel like he is. Even if you feel like he's miles and miles away, he's still reaching out to you. Make an effort to get to spring. How do we do that? You have to start a conversation with him at some point. If you're miles away, you have to start somewhere. Start trying to pick up a Bible. If you find the Bible completely impossible to read, try the Message or try something else. Do something to get you out of this season that you're in. Download an app. I downloaded some test apps for you. It was quite fun. Only iPhone, I don't do Android, sorry. It's cheap. There's loads and loads and loads of Bible apps and stuff that will give you a verse a day or whatever you need to just get you through, to just start something, to just start a spark between you and God. If you want the apps, come and find me, they're free. You know, we've got amazing technology, you can use it to your advantage. The internet is loaded up with stuff to help you get back on track with God. It's also loaded up with an awful lot of other crap as well, unfortunately. But load up your iPod with a decent talk. Just try it, see where it takes you. Download something from Soul Survivor. You can spend £1 to download one talk from last year from Soul Survivor. Something that you know inspired you at the time. Just try it. £1. And actually, if you have Christian parents, you can download all of them for £30 and I bet they'll pay for it. If you say, I want some new shoes, they'll say no. If you say, I want 30 sermons, they'll say, yes, sure, no problem. Isn't it amazing how they spend their money on things that matter? Try something, do something to get out of this. Take some time out, go for a walk, even if it's raining. Actually, it's even better in the rain. Switch off all your screens for 10 minutes. How many screens do you have on at one time? It's amazing. I can have like 12 and still hold a conversation. Sort of. Go for a drive. If you drive, do something to break your routine. Just talk to God. Just start a conversation with God and see where it goes. Tell him what's going well. Tell him what's rubbish. Tell him where you are right now. You might not have actually ever talked to God before. You may not have talked to him in a very long time. It might seem like the scariest thing ever. And I'm not saying get up at 5 a.m. and get on your knees and pray for hours, because not many people do that. And if you're not a routine person, that's all right. Don't make those people who are make you feel bad. I'm not a routine person in any way. I don't do that. But if you start talking to him and see where it leads you, you never know what you might get off your chest and feel better about. And if you don't know where to start, think about a teaspoon. I've got one, I've got 2 teaspoons. When you're reading a recipe, what does a teaspoon abbreviate to? Yeah, right, TSP. If, you know, sometimes I have no idea what to pray, and I don't know, and I'm not very inspired in prayer often. And the easiest thing and the only thing I ever remember is teaspoon, TSP, thank you, sorry, please. Start with a thank you, and you may think, oh, I've got nothing to be thankful about. Thank you for the sunshine. And you never know where it goes. And you start thanking God for all kinds of weird stuff. Steak, thank you for steak. Chips, on the beach, whatever. You start thanking God. And then it quite easily leads to the odd sorry here and there. Try a sorry. They're quite easy to say. I bet we've got millions of those. And then a please. We've got so much to ask God for. Just remember a teaspoon. If you think of nothing else, if you take nothing else away from this, think teaspoon. Maybe it's time you went to something that encourages you. If you actually need an event to kickstart you, try it. Loads of you drive, go up to Watford, suffer soul survivor all the time. It's not that far. I know it's a big city, but it's not that scary. Get yourself to the mix, get yourself to church, or to a church that inspires you. Get out of the door one day and go with a purpose. But if you stand at the back of that event hoping to be hit by lightning, it isn't going to happen. It just isn't going to happen. You have to try something. You have to go with an agenda of saying, I'm going to try really hard to meet with God at this thing, whatever anybody else thinks of me. I'm not just going to stand at the back and hope that lightning bolts will come. But you have to do something, change something, try something. And if in all of that God highlights something in your life, and He might, that's the chance that you take, that He might highlight something in your life that you need to change, have the guts to do something about it. Because if you don't, you will remain in the winter. However hard you try. That one thing, if He's highlighting that one thing to you, you might be doing it now. If you leave that thing where it is and don't do anything about it, you will remain in the winter. So it would be easy to end this and just feel rubbish about ourselves, and it's just winter, rubbish is terrible, winter's terrible, I don't like it. Let's all just feel sad and wait for soul survivor, because it's only 184 days away. It's a flipping long time. But you have a choice to make now. Do I stay where I am in the season that I'm in, or do I pick myself up and start again? Am I going to convince myself that this talk is actually for somebody else? It's not ready for me. It's all of them that's the problem. Or are we going to admit sometimes we're miles away? So, you're going to send yourself some post. Where's my post? Give me a pen, my post boy. Okay. Thanks. Stick them on there. Right, we're going to make 3 files down there. These are the flyers for that thing. I'll explain why. Here is something that I want you to write on, and here is 100 envelopes, because I couldn't be bothered to count. Right. So the questions that you're about to look at on there are really simple. You can write 1 word, you can write 1,000 words, whatever. The first question is this: what season are you in? Summer, everything's great. Autumn, I'm drifting away. Winter, I'm miles away. Spring, I'm on my way back. What season do you want to be in? That's question 2. And what are you actually going to do about it? Question 3. What are you actually going to practically do? A practical thing, or 5 practical things, or whatever. You can draw all over it if you like. Because you're going to post this to yourself. So, you're going to pick up one of these, put it in an envelope, well, write on it, put it in an envelope, put your name and address on it, and I am going to be so generous as to pay for the stamp that posts it to you. And I'm going to post it to you in 2 weeks' time. That gives you 2 weeks to do something about it. So this is going to land on your doormat and you're going to say, oh yeah. Or you're going to say, yes, I did that thing. That one small thing. And the reason the flyers are there is partly because I have to get rid of them. But also, if somebody reads your post or picks up and says, why have you got a post? Like an annoying little brother, you can say, oh, it's just the flyers for this thing. And then it won't be such a big deal. So, when you're finished, we're just going to have some quiet space for you to actually start your conversation if you want to with God, or to think about, or to just be quiet. Just a few minutes. And in that time when you're finished, oh, that's my post box, by the way. My son was 7 years old today, and he got a tech deck skate and go park, and here's an empty box. You can put your envelope in the post box, and it will get to you, I promise, in 2 weeks' time. So it's 181 days to soul survivor. and you're 84. Can't remember which way around it is. It's a long time. You can wait till then. We can do something about it right now. So, we're going to pick up. Come to the front when you're ready and pick up 3 things. Take them back. Write 1 word or 1,000 words. Stick them in the post box, but don't forget your address and your name on the front, because I won't know who it's for and I'm not going to open them. Nobody else is going to see this.